Hello, it is Kat from My Happy Insides, and today I want to come on here and talk about why I consider the Enneagram a secret weapon. And this might sound strange, but let me explain. When it comes to personality typing systems or different ways of understanding ourselves, there are a lot of different systems. You may have done the Myers-Briggs, maybe a DISC assessment, for tendencies, all these different types of personality things that tell us about ourselves. And when I first learned about the Enneagram, I was sort of skeptical about learning another one, even though I'm pretty eager to learn those things. I kind of wondered, why are people seeming to be so attached to this one? What makes this one different, these 9 numbers? And to be fair, when I would hear people saying, I'm an 8, I'm a 5, I'm a 4, it didn't make sense to me. So when I finally decided to dig in a couple of years ago, I quickly learned why this one stands out in a different way. So when you take a personality assessment, and maybe you're in a corporate setting or with a team, and they break everyone down into their types, and you think, yeah, okay, that sounds like me. I definitely do that. Oh, that sounds like you. Maybe you split up into groups and you just learn about the different styles. It focuses on the what. So this is what you do. This is what your type does. This is how you operate. But it never really got to the why. And that's the thing that I find different. So what is it about this 9 numbers on this circle with all these lines? How is it different? Well, the main difference is the why. Because when you learn the Enneagram and when you learn your type, you actually get down to some of these fears and desires that we have that are driving behavior. And all of us have these fears and desires, which I'll show you in a moment, but the strong one is with our type. And it allows us to predict behavior and to predict patterns. So what are these fears and desires? Well, they range. You can see a list here of the fears broken by number, and it's okay if you don't know the types or you don't know anything about the Enneagram. If you take a look at these fears and desires, I bet you'll agree that we share all of these. I mean, look at those desires. We want to have integrity, we want to be loved, be valuable, we want to be ourselves, we want to be competent, secure, happy, protect ourselves, and be at peace. Yes, we want all of those. And those fears, I bet we share most of those fears. I don't want to look defective. I don't want to look worthless. I don't want no support or to feel deprived. All of those fears make perfect sense. Now, why is this a secret weapon? Well, this I want to come back to the immunity to change framework. So back in 2012, when I was learning how to become a facilitator for the immunity to change process, it's helping people uncover hidden reasons that they're stuck. People who sincerely want to make changes, but they can't seem to move forward. Well, we work with a thing called an immunity map, where you ask strategic questions and start to uncover some of these fears that we hold. And what I noticed back then in 2012, as I was practicing these immunity maps, is these same patterns were coming up. The same underlying fears, no matter whether my immunity map was why I'm having trouble quitting dairy, or maybe my map was about why I struggle to follow through. I'll make lists, but I don't always follow my lists. And at the end of it, multiple maps, no matter what I did, kept coming back to themes around restriction. This is one of the themes that I saw over and over again. I didn't want to be confined or controlled or constrained. I wanted freedom and flexibility. And so sometimes when I was trying to change, I felt forced into more structure than I was comfortable with. Now, the result was I would sort of reject that or resist that. And so that was really helpful work that I did through those years. And as I continued to work with the immunity to change process, I learned more and more about what was getting me stuck. But these fears kept coming up over and over. When I finally took the Enneagram assessment and started reading through to discover which one was my type, the 7 glaringly showed all of these things that I took this time to figure out before. So I would work through these maps, uncover these restriction things, but maybe not necessarily understand what's going on and why that was the undercurrent through most of my challenges. And so now that I understand the fears and desires of the 7, if we pull this up again, if you look at the 7, which is my type, 7s don't want to be deprived, so they don't want to not have access to something. Not only do 7s want to be happy, they really put a high value on freedom. So as soon as they feel like they can't be free and flexible, or maybe they feel deprived of other options, then there's a resistance that comes up because they don't want that. So once I connected the dots, I realized a lot of my behaviors make sense. I will start to get a little bit of resistance that will emerge whenever that happens. So if we take another example, let's say a 5. A 5 doesn't want to be perceived as incapable or useless, so they are going to be driven in ways to maybe retain new knowledge, learn new knowledge, put together new concepts. It's driving this behavior, and it might explain other reasons why they might avoid certain things. Maybe those things, maybe changes will threaten how they're perceived, and they might look stupid or foolish if they try something new, so perhaps they don't try something new. So what this does is it gives us a window into the motivation or the why behind our behavior and behind our patterns. And to me, that's really powerful. And I feel like you really get this with the Enneagram, where you don't get that to the same extent with other ones. They tell you how you act and maybe what you act like, but not actually why. And so this is where the transformation takes place. Whenever you talk to someone about the Enneagram, they'll usually talk about how it's a tool for transformation and breaking out of your personality because you can understand yourself better. And when you understand yourself better, you can be kinder to yourself, a little bit gentler when you see patterns coming up again, because you understand the why. You can understand why you are doing those things. And it also leads to greater compassion, and both self-compassion, understanding for why you're getting stuck in these patterns, but also compassion for others, because you can understand that we all have motivations for the actions that we take or don't take. And this is why I love to share about the Enneagram. And if you are new to it and you're curious, you maybe want to dip your toe, or you've heard a little bit, I am going to be running another free workshop to introduce the Enneagram so you can understand the basics, get the concepts, and I do this through a free workshop called Enneagram for Beginners. And so if you're interested, save your seat at 9types.myhappyinsides.com. This next one is coming up on June 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I would love for you to join me if this is something that you want to dig into and something that you want to understand, maybe the motivations that might be driving some of your behavior and how you can use the Enneagram as a secret weapon.